Welcome to this dev diary for the beginning of February. I'm Ramasee here with the Interbellum Community Manager Voidcrisp,
How you guys doing?
and we're going to talk to you guys today about the current status of the project. We're kind of trying to make this a monthly thing, so I did this by myself on the 5th of January, I think. Um, So yeah, what we're going to go over the video today is we did our first staff-only test on the new code project on the 28th. We're going to talk about that a little bit. We're going to tell you guys a little bit about the history of the coding of the project, the current item creator, and some things related to testing as it comes up, and a couple things like that. Also, Voidcrisp is going to say some comments and questions that the community has given over a little bit to me as we go through this. Um, the first thing that I'll tell you guys about is that we did that testing on the 28th. That's basically the first alpha testing on our new code base. We actually our previous phases of testing were done on an old C# oriented code base, and the time period between phase 2 and phase 3 was us making it into a C++. And this was the first testing that we had had with more than just myself and Asa on the server. And of course, it was all kinds of fun as we took systems and combined them together and had to fix them as we were playing. Um, we actually run two different databases. We've got one that was built with Mythic's implementation of their abilities, and then we have the Interbellum one. And I actually recently had to go through and adjust all of the database tables so that we could quickly swap between the two of them so that we can determine where a bug comes from. As people have asked in chat on our Discord about kind of how that test went, since you guys knew that we were doing that test, at least those of you that paid the most attention. Void gets the first time Void has seen most of this stuff because, as a non-development member of staff, he does not play with it every day like I do. So him and a couple other staff members got to see it for the first time. You guys wanted to know what that was about, so Void can tell you a little bit about his experience playing with the classes that he was able to play with during the time. Go ahead, man.
So yeah, no, I mean it's a what I can say is that being with Interbellum for the last few years, let alone how long it's been, what, 5 or 6, with all the tests that we did with this new code base that we're working with here, the actual ability systems that you see in the builder for the public releases. The class mechanics, we were actually testing specifically the Black Orc, FIDA, the Choppa Big Gun. We were also testing the Rifleman for the Engineer as well as the Ironbreaker as well, and we were actually just playing with all of them there. Granted, we had pretty much all the passives and tactics available at the given current time, and honestly, from a long-time Black Orc Choppa, even Engineer Magus player, even back from original Age of Reckoning, the classes are actually a hell of a lot more fun than what they used to be, and that's just any personal standpoint. Um, Black Orc feels very solid, and I can actually see a lot of things that's going to be more beneficial for six-mans for a lot of the actual classes, where a lot of people feel that the Engineer potentially was a. I know some people are kind of worried about if that is a thing that would be not useful in a six-man. There are a lot of classes, a lot of hard spec masteries, I should say, that are going to be very beneficial for six-man groups, let alone for 12-mans, pre-mades, even just pug play as well. So far, it's really solid. It feels really good overall, and honestly, I can't wait to get a video out with everybody to showcase how that feels.
Yeah, unfortunately, when we were doing the test, none of us recorded, and so we can't show any video of that. And currently, we found in the middle of that testing, we found some core level concerns, and so Asa is currently fixing those. And because that runs the non-local version of the server, the one that we can all connect to, uh, we can't. We're going to log in and make more videos, but we currently can't. Um, So what you just saw on the screen while he was talking about all that is I was just showcasing my local version of the server because I work on the Interbellum database, and I was showing you just a couple components of the engineer while he was talking because that's what I logged into. Um, yeah. The next thing is we are paying attention to the tester applications that are coming in. Just because we are not ready to use them, we have not replied to anybody, because we don't want you guys to log into a server and not be able to use items. Like that was one of the bugs that was happening, is that our items were disappearing. Um, and as you can see here, I think it was, where is it? Yeah, this bug right here. It was us losing items as we were playing or logging in and logging out. I already have a lot of these bugs that I've posted from that day. I've already fixed on the Interbellum ability database, but Asa has to fix very specifically this one and what was it? And this one before we can get people back onto the server and back into testing. Do you want to go to the item creator next, Void, or do you want to do your little section about the things that people were asking you?
Oh no, we can go to the item table there. I'm still getting a few things situated.
Okay, cool. So while I had to wait for a day for Asa to give me the new database scheme so that we could swap between the two databases quickly, I went ahead and created our item creator spreadsheet essentially. The item affix system will be one of the last things that we actually code into existence. And the reason why is that because we can just emulate it through manual implementation until then, so that we're still testing with essentially the same thing, but the actual coding itself is not there. So, for example, I can make an item and show it and have it shown to you guys. So, what I did is to allow basically any member of our staff to be able to create these items without messing it up or going outside of the item affix system. I created a spreadsheet that outputs database files that they can then copy. And I will actually show you guys this because this will be the first time that you'll be getting any kind of element of how the item affix system will work. But this first thing here is just a unique ID that has to be put for the database, because if you got two, if it basically tells you what tells the server what the item is. But for example, affixes are restricted by slot. There are actually only 3 different item affix restrictions. So helm, shoulder, body, gloves, and boots are all essentially type 1 affixes. Belt and accessories are type 2, and cloaks are type 3. If any of you've played Diablo 4, it's very similar to how they have 2 different types of gear with their item affixes on them. So we'll just make a helm to go with first off. Notice that it blacks out some of these item affixes. A person cannot put anything in there without it creating another error, and it will not give them database strings until all of these errors are cleared. So there are 4 categories for every single item affix. The first one is the first primary stat. Notice here you can only have 1 affix from this group, so if you take strength and toughness, it throws a different error. But you always must have 1. This is how we make sure these kinds of groupings and restrictions are here to make sure that even though the items are randomly generated, that they have a higher chance of actually being usable, because how often would, for example, a ballistic skill and intelligence piece be useful to a large number of people? It wouldn't. So this is just a method of somewhat controlling the usefulness of the item accesses. As you can see here, I did the math before we did this video. There are 34,560 possible affix combinations, even with these groupings that I've done. For each item that's not a back, a cloak item, a back item, has 58,968, and that's just because when you go to back, you see that it blocks out these, and it's got more selections. But we'll go back to a helmet. So also you can have more than one when you get when an item affix is rolled. It actually can be rolled 1 to 10. So for example, this could be an 8 instead of a 1. And actually, we'll get an item level here so it gives us a displayed value. Random. Type that in just so that we get everything going. Every item gets a maximum of 36 points, but they have to get one affix from each selection. So we'll say armor, impact resistance, and then you have to spend at least 6 points. Now notice if I go here, it won't let me do another one, so you can only have one from each one of these groups. You can end up having all from the resistance if you're lucky or unlucky, depending on what kind of class you're making. And then you can do like this. Actually, I have more than 6, so never mind. You can only have a maximum of 6 affixes applied to any weapon, wow, any piece of gear. In addition, the name of the item is based on the affixes, which you can actually see down here. What this is basically it will allow people to search, like in the auction house or when people are selling, a better idea of the item. So for example, this item is currently called the Wrathful Sallet of the Sentinel, and that's because it's a helm. It has strength and armor, so strength and armor makes it, sorry. That messed up. Of the Sentinel's toughness armor, what?
It's not a Borderlands generation, so still a work in progress where we're getting it there.
It's just because I haven't played around with the spreadsheet yet. But yeah, actually, it should have been this one because it's the highest value. That means I've got one of these values right here wrong. But it should be of the veteran instead of the sentinel. And then it is a sallet because it's a helm, and it is got. Oh, that's because I've got 2 resistances. That makes sense. Okay. So because I have 2 resistances, it becomes a sallet rather than a coif capper mask. And then it is wrathful because it has penetration and adrenaline regeneration on it. And that basically means that, and this, I mean, obviously the fact that I'm showing this means that you'll be told what the affixes are, so that you can search. Like you can search an item easily for you guys. So if you, for example, if you wanted to find something that always has strength and armor on it, you would type of the veteran into the auction house in order to find items that have strength and armor affixes. So that you can, because we understand once we throw hundreds of items at you an hour, and that you guys will be trading them and selling them, putting them on the auction house and stuff like that, and it would be better if they actually had searchable names. When you do that, when you actually make all the reds go away, you get database strings like this, which means that someone without any real knowledge of how to do this can just do this number right here and then hit paste and apply, and boom, they've got a database item. It's makes it much easier for non-coding members of our staff to be able to create stuff, and frees up those of us that are more needed for things like ability creation and content creation to do that. In fact, even Void will be doing this. He volunteered. Muhahaha. Database is boring, by the way.
Yeah, no. It may be boring, but at the end of the day, it's
needed.
After it's definitely needed in database work. Is you're looking at spreadsheets. It's very simple to work with, and to its own degree. But looking at what was it 50,000 items as a potential to be created that can be generated in a sense. Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun. But remember, Fashion Hammer is the end game.
Well, I mean, the possible combinations actually doesn't even count the 1 to 10. That just counts the 6 different affixes. The different combinations you can get is like, was it 30?
Oh yeah.
Little, just shy of 35,000 for most items. But yeah, the last part that is your little section there, Void.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. So pretty much, as everybody has already seen, it said the application process. Um, there is not a lot of people that have applied. Only a few people have actually applied for as a GM position overall. I do know that we may have a few people that are a little bit more skeptical on wanting to actually see gameplay or maybe see a server that's coming up and whatnot. But we do actually want to be able to expand that roster of GMs later on down the road if we can as soon as possible. There is an item inside there that I have sets where if you become a GM, that you have 4 months as the grace period. That is your initiate membership aspect, quote unquote, where 4 months you're on, and then basically we would have a type of reform, or not really a reform, but more of a analytics of what you have done, right? After that 4 months, it's either you are let back into the world of Interbellum, or if you want to be able to come back on for another 4 months. That system for the 4 months on, 4 months off, as it's going to be annulled for as of right now until we have the server that's up and running for a live recurrent version. So that means that anybody who happens to be a GM for the specific reasons and as well as gone through the interview process with myself or our other community manager as well, we will be able to train you guys effectively in what we expect out of community or out of our community members, let alone our GM staff. Um, so that's really what I wanted to talk about for quite a little bit there, because I do know I have some people that are still asking me questions about that. Just PMs be like, "Oh, do I really have to do this?" Right now, no. So we want to make sure that everybody is well suited to understand that. Hey, when the server does happen, we want to make sure that you have a chance of saying, "Hey, you can relax for 4 months, and then when you're needed, we'll pull you back in." So yeah, that would be it there.
Yep. Then
And
you.
then
Yeah. Go ahead.
no, it's just yeah, there was also some other things too that people were also asking some few questions on about, especially for the systems, like having as you saw inside the page for the characters, if it was a possibility to expand the player pages or the character pages. So if you have one of two, is that a possibility to expand on
The
to like multiple pages?
What I was told from Azrael is that the client will only take like 20 slots. But because of the way that our characters are loaded in the database, it would be possible in the future to allow people to move characters out of reserve in the database or put characters in reserve. What this means is that you would potentially be able to have more than 20 slots, but you would only be able to access characters that are in reserve by swapping out what's in active and what's in reserve, and that swap would take place at the next server restart. So, for example, you could have all 24 classes, right? 24 base
Mhm.
classes, and say you had your sorcerer in reserve, you could replace it with your dwarf warrior. And then the next time the server restarted, you wouldn't have access to your dwarf warrior, but it would still exist and it would still have all its items and all its progression and stuff like that. But then your sorcerer would be on the list, and that's just because the client itself won't display more than like 20.
For sure. Yeah, no, that's been a big question because again, a lot of people have been having the question of, because again, with Interbellum being able to have very alt friendly, especially with the hard specializations, and then also with the characters, because every character is going to be practically different. If you were to make 2 or 3 black orcs, and they will be relatively different stats if you happen to equip the items right. So I know that's going to happen, but that's going to be one of those bigger ones there too. And then also a secondary one, which is actually something I do want to talk about as well. Anyways, I've been getting a lot of people wanting gameplay, and I'm not going to lie. I was going to record the gameplay that we were having. I know a lot of people when they hear this, they say, "Oh, you're community manager, you're part of the staff." They probably got a gun under your head saying you have to say this. It's not that at all. What I'm saying is that gameplay was actually a lot of fun. I forgot to record. So when we are at that point to be able to do so again, we will make sure we get a video out shortly.
It's literally the thing I'm waiting on Azza to fix that bug. So literally, as soon as he can launch the test server we can all connect to, I'm dragging a whole bunch of staff in for the sole purpose of making the video for that. Not even to test anything, just to be like, yo guys, let's go kill each other so people can see some shit.
Like I'm not gonna lie, like playing the black work, and again, sword and board spec, you're like, oh, this is cool. And you go to clobbering time, and it just pulls out this massive, two-hander, and then it starts beating the crap out of people. I'm like, so I feel like an actual tank, but a genuine tank that actually can like dish out damage and smack people around, and it feels really good. Every class just feels very unique to its own, and its own hard spec mastery is going to allow you to feel that. That's what I like about it so much. Reading it on paper is one thing, right? And it's everybody says the same thing to me. It says it's all on paper. We don't have anything. Trust me, it's coming. Can't wait to show you. It's actually really cool. So yeah,
Spam some buttons
kind of
real
like
quick.
right here. As you guys can see, there's when you have the tactic where it goes to 20.
No, I don't. I got it at 25.
Yep. There you go. Now it goes to two-hander, and then now you can actually start beating the crap out of stuff. And I know these seem like really pitiful numbers, but remember, he is naked.
Oh yeah, I'm naked with
So,
like
he, he,
yeah.
so just imagine, right? Like Blackwork doing full glass cannon, right? At this point, I mean the numbers can get so high at this point. So I'm sorry for interrupting you. I'm really excited by seeing this new code base brought into it with a new basically new environment for the testing phase now.
Oh yeah,
It's very different than what I'm used to, and it's exciting, and I can't stress that enough for people. It's like I want people to see more, but definitely it's coming out soon.
yeah. Anything else? I'm pretty sure that's the end of our little update for this
That's
month.
that's really it at that point. And again, if anybody has any questions or concerns when it comes to Interbellum policy or whatnot, they can always PM me directly. And then on top of that as well, don't be afraid to apply as a GM. As of right now, like I said, that overall interview process will take place, and then shortly we'll have a video out for you guys here pretty soon, hopefully. So
Yep. Well,
that's all for me.
yep. Hope to see you guys around. Bye.